Hey, Chad Schimmel at Turner's Warehouse, and today I'm going to make a watch parts ring. It's very simple. If you've seen our opal video on how we make the opal inlay rings, it's kind of the same process with just different parts, but I'm gonna show you in detail right here. To make the watch part ring, you just need a few things. The most important is your ring core, as seen here, and obviously some watch parts. I've got our little watch part jar that we sell, and I spread it out here so I can find the parts I want. But you need a ring core. I'm going to use a channel core. The channel core is the best for these inlay rings because it gives you that protection on the side. You can paint your background and then sand it down flush to the edges, so it makes it really nice. I like to use nail polish to paint my channel. So I've got my stainless steel channel here, and I'm just going to use the mandrel to hold this. It just makes it easier. I've got a little band-aid situation going here with my finger. There was a sharp tool incident. Totally work appropriate, no messing around. So I'm going to put this on here. I'm not concerned if I get a little on the channel, it won't matter, or I'm sorry, on the sides it won't matter. I just want to make sure I get the whole channel, including the inside wall. The reason being, if I don't get paint on that inside wall, when I'm done, it'll have little shiny spots because it's stainless steel, it'll shine through. So you really want to make sure you got good coverage. You don't want to goop the paint into where there's big bubbles of paint. Make sure it's flattened out, but you want to make sure that it's well covered. So I just rotate it around, make sure that side's covered. Oh, see there? That would not have looked good. It'll just make for a better finished product when you're done if you double check these little things. So now that that's all painted, probably needs 10-15 minutes to dry, but luckily, through the magic of video, I'll cut right here. I have a dry one. So now we are good to go. This one has been drying. Actually, I painted it yesterday, so it's totally dry, but I'm using my little ring stand here. We have these for sale at Turner's Warehouse. It's kind of fun because it holds your mandrels when you're not using them. You can put all your gear in here, your inlay materials, if you wanted to put your paint in there. But what's really handy about it is it holds your ring. So now I can use the mandrel to glue my parts on. I'm going to use the UV resin today. The cool thing about this resin is I just put a drop on here to show how it worked, and then you hit it with the UV light and it's nice and hard. So you can work fairly quickly with the UV resin. You just use a paintbrush to apply it, or a small stick. You could even use a toothpick, and it's fairly simple. So let me get this over here. That way everyone can see it. I'm actually going to put on my magnifiers. It makes it a lot easier for me to see when I'm doing this. So what I like to do, first step, get a little resin on my brush, apply it right into the channel. I don't want to go too heavy or try to spread it around too far. And then I'll grab my first part. That little gear looks good. So I'm going to put it right in there using my glasses. I'm pushing it up against the wall so it kind of looks like it's coming off. Now I've got some extra resin around it because I applied a little bit too much. So I'm going to grab another part. Oh, got a little ruby. Put it in there. And these UV glasses do make, or not UV glasses, these magnifying glasses do make it a lot easier to see. That'll be a good one there. That's a good part because it fills the channel, oops, really well. And you can see why there's an empty tray below it. Just caught my part. If you were doing opals or abalone shell or some other stone, this is great to catch what falls out so you can keep using it rather than having it fall on the floor and losing it. Now keep in mind, this UV resin is gonna stay wet until I cure it. So I'm putting a bunch of parts in here, and basically I'm just filling all the spots of the resin. When I'm pleased with it and I don't have resin past the parts, I'm gonna hit it with my flashlight. This is a UV light. You don't need a fancy UV light, you just need one with good batteries. This actually is the one we sell here. They're like 13, 14 bucks. They're not expensive. Now, just after that little bit, I can turn my ring over. It's all glued in there. I can touch it, it's dry. And just that little bit, it's ready to go. So now I can rotate it. The beauty of the holder here is we can rotate it just a little bit. Apply some resin. And we're just gonna work our way around the ring. Now, one thing I didn't mention, and I almost demonstrated it by accident, is your resin pile. If I accidentally shine my light over that, I'm gonna need a new drop of resin because I'm gonna cure my resin sitting there. Ooh, let's go with a bigger one this time. That's way too big, won't fit. All right, I'm gonna do another half. I cut some of these gears in half so I could put them up against the wall. It looks really cool. You grab a spindle, little gear spindle. With watch parts, and actually with anything really, the more stuff you can put in the ring, the fuller it looks, typically the better it looks, in my opinion. It'll just make it more interesting to look at, give you more of a texture. Some of these parts are so small. They're so small to the naked eye, but when you're looking through the magnifiers, they look big. All right, so that little section is done. I'm gonna UV cure it. And it's, I think they say 10 to 15 seconds. I've done it for longer, it doesn't hurt. I've done it for shorter, it usually works. So just, you know, if you're not sure, keep going. Sometimes you wanna go at angles because if you have a flat part and there's resin underneath it, you're only gonna get the UV around the outside. So you wanna try to shine it to where it goes under. So there again, if I'm not sure. And like I said before, you can touch this, the parts aren't gonna fall out, they're good to go. So now we're just gonna work our way around the whole ring, packing in the parts. I've made it all the way around the ring. I'm going back to look and see if I have any gaps. I got one little space here I'm gonna fill. So as I go, I'm gonna cure, or double cure, because I've already cured everything that's laid down. But I do wanna see if I have any big spots. And if you do, you wanna fill them up because, like I said, the more full it is, the cooler it'll look. And if you get a little extra resin on top now, it's no big deal because you are going to be applying more anyway. All right, so I'm placing my last little gear here, and I'm actually overlapping some other gears. You know what, that one's a little too big. Get this little cider here. And get it where I want it. And cure it. Okay, that is the fun part. Not really, that's the easy part. So, last thing we're gonna do here before we go to the lathe is we're gonna apply more resin all the way around. So, if you're using the mandrel, this is really handy. What I'm gonna do is just get a lot of resin on my brush and I'm gonna fill in the whole top here. So, the first part is the hardest because it's gonna wanna run a little bit. So I like to put it in, cure it, kind of make a dam for the rest of the ring when I go around. And I just keep applying. And I wanna build this resin up higher than the edge because we wanna be able to sand it flat to the ring. And we don't have to worry because these are stainless steel channel rings. We can sand them, all we're gonna do is polish them if we get to that. So we're just gonna keep applying resin all the way around. Okay, now the fun part. We've got the ring, we let it sit in the sun a few minutes. It is ready to go. So it's very simple. I use, this is 600 or 800, I think it's 600 wet dry paper. All I'm gonna do with this 600, I wanna keep it wet. My whole goal is to just get it flat and smooth all the way around. I really don't care about, you can see the black paint on the edge, all that. It'll come off if I sand it and that's fine. But the polishing will take care of any of that. So my main goal here is just get it flat. You can hear it's not flat. Hear the da-da-da-da-da-da. It's not flat. I'm gonna get it flat with this 600. I wanna keep refreshing the water because I don't want to scratch my surface by getting a clump of resin on my paper. But you can already hear that tapping is going away because I'm sanding it flat. Once I think I've got it flat, I want to evaluate it, make sure I don't have any low spots. And I'm resting my thumb on it just to kind of feel how far I'm getting. And you can probably see I'm working my way around the paper because the resin will pack in there pretty quick if I'm not careful. So I'm moving the paper around just to use it up. And it already feels flat compared to where I started. Splashing myself. So I'm relatively flat. So when I think I'm flat, I want to get rid of all the white resin stuff. First thing I'm going to do is feel all the way around. I don't feel anything. Secondly, I want to take a paper towel and dry it. And what I'm looking for, it'll be a little hazy from where I just sanded. If I have shiny spots, that means it's low. That means it's below where I just sanded. Oh, there's one. Nope, it was just wet. So I don't have any shiny spots. I'm actually hazy really evenly. So that tells me I'm pretty much flat. I don't have any low spots of the resin. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean it up. I can now hit the sides if I had anything big, which I didn't really have anything big. And this is pretty much all you need to do with the 600. And I do this with 6 or 800, whatever's sitting here is fine. So that is pretty much it. Now I'm going straight to Zona. I've got my 6 grits of Zona here. Starting with the green, I want to polish the whole thing. When I do rings, I only use a square of Zona for one ring and then I move on because you're going to be getting the metal. You might get a little metal dust on it. You don't want to transfer that to another project or another ring, pen, whatever you're turning. So I'm going to make sure I get the whole thing, the center, the side, and the other side. And then I don't throw this away yet because I'm actually going to go back and make sure the inside looks good when I'm done here. So just with one Zona, the 600 and one Zona, you're going to see that ring already looks pretty cool. So I like to pinch around the ring to get the sides, and we're just polishing that stainless steel. And you can see it on the paper where the metal is actually getting polished off. And you just want to keep it wet. And you go through all the cycle here, all the grits. So the microns on this, I'm almost to the last one. 1 micron to 30 micron is the equivalent, if you're into micro mesh, about 2,000 to like 15,000. And I might be off by a little bit there, but that's about the ballpark. I personally think it gives it a little better shine. It's definitely a higher grit on the end. I mean, you can see just while it's spinning, look how shiny that is in there. So I'm gonna really make my last one count here. This stuff is so fine that the back side, if you flip it over, you won't know what it is, but you can actually feel the back side is rougher. So you know which grit you're using. It's pretty amazing. And it's soft paper. It's not like it's an abrasive. It's very soft. But if you look there, right over in front here, we have a very shiny, nice ring. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. You can make a lot of varieties of rings with this. The watch part, you can see a few of them here are some of my favorites, but abalone shell, opal, you can do it all. As long as it fits in that channel, you've got a way to make a cool ring.